Imagine waking up every day feeling drained, frustrated, and unhappy. This is the reality for many people who have toxic people in their lives. Toxic people are those who constantly criticize, manipulate, lie, or hurt you, and who don't care about your feelings or needs. They can make you doubt yourself, lose your confidence, and damage your relationships. How can you cope with them and protect yourself from their negativity? However, there is a way to cope with them that does not involve hatred, violence, or avoidance. It is the way of Buddha wisdom. Buddha wisdom is the teachings and practices of Buddhism, a spiritual tradition that aims to liberate all beings from suffering and ignorance. Buddhism offers a holistic and compassionate approach to dealing with toxic people, based on the principles of loving kindness, empathy, forgiveness, and detachment. I will tell you a story. How you can use Buddha wisdom to deal with toxic people in your life, and how it can benefit you and them. Sara was a young and talented journalist who worked for a popular online magazine. She loved her job and was passionate about writing stories that could make a difference in the world. However, she had a problem. Her boss, Mr. Lee, was a toxic person. Mr. Lee was rude, arrogant, and demanding. He often criticized Sara's work and made her feel incompetent and worthless. He also micromanaged her and gave her unrealistic deadlines and expectations. He never appreciated her efforts or achievements and always took credit for her work. He also spread rumors and gossip about her and tried to sabotage her career. Sara felt miserable and stressed because of Mr. Lee. She hated him and wished he would disappear from her life. She also started to doubt her own abilities and lose confidence in herself. She felt angry, resentful, and depressed. She wanted to quit her job, but she couldn't afford to do so. She felt trapped and hopeless. One day, Sara met an old friend, Maya, who was a Buddhist practitioner. Maya noticed that Sara looked unhappy and asked her what was wrong. Sara told her everything about Mr. Lee and how he made her life hell. Maya listened to her with empathy and compassion and then said, "Wow, that sounds really tough. I'm sorry you have to deal with such a toxic person. But you know what? You can use this as an opportunity to practice Buddha wisdom." Buddha wisdom? What's that? Sara asked. Buddha wisdom is the teachings and practices of Buddhism, a spiritual tradition that aims to liberate all beings from suffering and ignorance. Buddhism offers a holistic and compassionate approach to dealing with toxic people, based on the principles of loving kindness, empathy, forgiveness, and detachment. It can help you to cope with Mr. Lee in a way that is beneficial for both you and him, and that promotes harmony and peace in the world. It can also improve your own mental and emotional health and enhance your spiritual development. Really? How? Sara asked. Well, let me explain. The first step to deal with toxic people using Buddha wisdom is to practice loving kindness. Loving kindness is a form of meditation that cultivates compassion and goodwill towards yourself and others, even those who are difficult or harmful. Loving kindness helps you to let go of anger, resentment, and hatred, and to wish for the happiness and well-being of all beings. By practicing loving kindness, you can transform your negative emotions into positive ones and reduce the impact of toxic people on your mental and emotional health. But how can I practice loving kindness for Mr. Lee? He's so mean and nasty. I can't stand him. I don't want him to be happy. I want him to suffer. I know it's hard, but you have to understand that hating him or wishing him ill will only hurt you more. It will make you more bitter and unhappy, and it will also create more negative karma for you and him. You have to realize that Mr. Lee is also a human being who has feelings and needs, and who is suffering and ignorant. He is not your enemy, but your fellow traveler in this journey of life. He is also a teacher who can help you to grow and learn. By practicing loving kindness for him, you are not condoning his actions or giving up your rights. You are simply acknowledging his humanity and wishing him well. This will free you from the bondage of hatred and resentment, and open your heart to compassion and peace. I see. But how do I practice loving kindness? It's simple. You just have to sit quietly and focus on your breathing. Then you have to repeat some phrases in your mind, such as, "May I be happy and free from suffering. May Mr. Lee be happy and free from suffering. May all beings be happy and free from suffering." You have to say these phrases with sincerity and warmth, and imagine that you are sending rays of light and love to yourself, to Mr. Lee, and to all beings. You have to do this every day for at least 10 minutes and gradually increase the time and frequency. You can also practice loving kindness whenever you encounter Mr. Lee or think of him. Just say the phrases silently in your mind and feel the love in your heart. Okay, I'll try that. What's the next step? The next step is to appreciate the opportunities that toxic people provide for you to practice your patience and loving kindness. Instead of seeing them as enemies or obstacles, see them as teachers or catalysts for your spiritual growth. They can help you to develop your virtues and overcome your weaknesses. For example, if Mr. Lee insults you, you can use it as a chance to practice humility and tolerance. If he lies to you, you can use it as a chance to practice honesty and integrity. If he hurts you, you can use it as a chance to practice forgiveness and compassion. But why should I appreciate him? He's making my life miserable. He doesn't deserve my gratitude. You have to understand that everything that happens to you is a result of your past actions and choices, and that nothing is random or coincidental. You have a karmic connection with Mr. Lee, and he is a reflection of your own mind and emotions. He is showing you what you need to work on and improve in yourself. He is also giving you a chance to purify your karma and create positive merit. By appreciating him, you are not ignoring or denying the reality of his behavior. You are simply recognizing the hidden value and meaning behind it. You are also cultivating a positive and optimistic attitude and seeing the glass as half full rather than half empty. I see, but how do I appreciate him? It's easy. You just have to say thank you to him in your mind or even out loud whenever he does something that challenges you or annoys you. You have to say it with sincerity and gratitude and feel the joy in your heart. You have to do this every time you interact with him or think of him. Just say thank you and feel the appreciation in your heart. Okay, I'll try that. What's the next step? The next step is to ask yourself why you consider certain people your enemies. Is it because they have harmed you or someone you care about? Is it because they have different views or values from you? Is it because they trigger your insecurities or fears? Try to understand the causes and conditions that make them act the way they do, and realize that they are also suffering and ignorant. This can help you to develop empathy and forgiveness towards them, and to see them as fellow human beings who deserve respect and kindness. But how can I understand him? He's so irrational and unreasonable. He doesn't make any sense. He doesn't care about anyone but himself. You have to realize that he is not acting out of malice or evil, but out of pain and confusion. He is probably unhappy and dissatisfied with his own life, and he is projecting his own issues and negativity onto you and others. He may have experienced some trauma or abuse in his past, or he may have some mental or emotional problems that he's not aware of or not willing to deal with. He may also have some false beliefs or assumptions that make him see the world in a distorted way. He is not aware of the consequences of his actions or the impact he has on you and others. He is like a blind and wounded animal who is lashing out at anyone who comes near him. That's sad. But how can I empathize with him? He's hurting me and others. He doesn't deserve my sympathy. You have to understand that empathy is not the same as pity or weakness. Empathy is the ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes and to feel what they feel. Empathy is a sign of strength and courage, not of weakness and cowardice. Empathy is also a form of wisdom, as it helps you to see the bigger picture and the interconnectedness of all things. By empathizing with him, you are not excusing or justifying his actions. You are simply acknowledging his suffering and ignorance and wishing him to be free from them. You are also reducing your own suffering and ignorance, as you are letting go of your anger and resentment and opening your mind to understanding and compassion. I see. But how do I empathize with him? It's simple. You just have to imagine that you are him, and that you have his life, his background, his personality, his thoughts, his feelings, his actions. You have to imagine how he sees the world, and how he sees you and others. You have to imagine how he feels and what he needs. You have to do this for a few minutes and try to feel what he feels. You can also ask him some questions such as, what are you going through? What are you afraid of? What are you hoping for? And listen to his answers. You have to do this with curiosity and openness, and without judgment or criticism. You have to do this whenever you encounter him or think of him. Just imagine that you are him and feel what he feels. Okay, I'll try that. What's the next step? The next step is to don't take their words or actions personally. Toxic people often project their own issues and negativity onto others, and they may not be aware of the impact they have on you. Don't let them define your worth or happiness, and don't let them steal your peace. Remember that you are not responsible for their feelings or behaviors, and that you can only control your own reactions and responses. By detaching yourself from their toxicity, you can protect your self-esteem and sanity, and avoid unnecessary conflicts and dramas. If you encounter toxic people in your daily life, you can use some simple techniques to cope with them. For example, you can breathe deeply and calmly, and remind yourself of your intention to be kind and peaceful. You can also use positive affirmations or mantras, such as "May I be happy and free from suffering," or "I am not my thoughts or emotions." You can also try to find something good or admirable in them, or imagine them as a child or a friend. The fifth and final step is to distance yourself if you must, but do it with empathy, not judgment. Sometimes the best way to deal with toxic people is to limit your contact or interaction with them, especially if they are abusive or harmful. However, this doesn't mean that you have to hate them or wish them ill. You can still maintain a respectful and compassionate attitude towards them, and hope that they will find their own way to happiness and peace. By distancing yourself, you can create healthy boundaries and space for yourself, and focus on your own well-being and growth. Sara made the decision to heed Maya's advice and incorporate Buddha wisdom into her life. This involved practicing loving-kindness meditation both in the mornings and evenings, as well as adopting an approach of appreciation, empathy, detachment, and creating distance from Mr. Lee whenever they interacted. Seeking support from friends, family, a therapist, and engaging in a Buddhist community were also part of her journey to delve deeper into Buddhist teachings and practices. Initially, she found these actions uncomfortable and unfamiliar. They made her feel inauthentic and conflicted, as if she was compromising her values. Doubts about investing her time and energy into someone who might not deserve it crept in, questioning the possibility of any meaningful change. Despite these uncertainties, her persistence in practicing Buddha wisdom began to yield noticeable changes within herself and in her interactions with Mr. Lee. She experienced a heightened sense of calmness and peace, diminishing feelings of anger and stress. Her confidence and happiness grew, while insecurities and depression waned. Empathy and compassion flourished, replacing judgment and resentment. Simultaneously, she observed a shift in Mr. Lee's behavior. Less rudeness and arrogance replaced by politeness and respect. Decreased criticism and demands replaced by appreciation and support. A reduction in negativity and toxicity replaced by positivity and healthiness. Sara came to the realization that by embracing Buddha wisdom, she not only addressed her relationship with Mr. Lee, but also underwent personal healing and mental clarity. She inadvertently aided Mr. Lee in his healing process and mental clarity too. This transformation fostered a positive and harmonious relationship with him and with herself. Additionally, it created a nurturing environment for both herself and those around her. Expressing gratitude, she thanked Maya for her guidance and friendship, Mr. Lee for the lessons and challenges he provided, herself for her bravery and insight, and the Buddha for the teachings and inspiration. Overwhelmed with gratitude and joy, she wished for the happiness and liberation of all beings. With a content smile, she quietly affirmed to herself, "This is the way of Buddha wisdom." Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed the story and learned something from it. If you did, please give this video a like and subscribe to my channel for more stories and videos. Also, feel free to share your thoughts and comments below. I would love to hear from you. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Namaste.